all I know is I only need 3 points for the speaker to improve. Because if I were to write the whole page, I can't deliver it on time as well. So the idea is to motivate. Before I did this, people used to tell me that you start with writing down what you don't like about the speech. And by the time you know, the light is amber. You're like, what has he done well? What has he done well? What has he do exceptionally well in this speech? So I do it the other way. It's because people started sharing and saying that, hey, it's a lot of negativity in the sharing. And when you put this down, you will not be biased, because at the end of the day, recently, especially in the past few months, it has not been about evaluating to motivate the speaker. It has been about towards us. Fair. If I felt it for the past few months, it has been about, I thought that you did well, you have passed your manual. Or I thought you didn't did well, you have failed in this and I think you should attempt. You might be smiling at me because I probably said it a few times. To me, there's no pass or there's no fail, and I'm touching my heart right now. I feel bad. No, the reason why I'm feeling bad is after I leave the meeting, when I'm driving my way home, I'm still thinking, did I do the right thing? So whatever I shared with you previously about ABCs, about what are you looking at is very important. One thing, this is never about a pass or fail. The speaker can reject your request that you failed him and continue with the project. They have the right to do so. But when we have a firm line that this is the line that I'm drawing, I'm judging you based on the attitude that you bring in, I'm judging based on what kind of background you have or what kind of speaker you are already, and how can you improve. I'm judging you based on the objective, the criteria. Then I have the guideline to tell myself whether he did well or he could be better. The idea of failing someone is not that I'm bossing you around, that I'm going to fail you. But it's about, if I were to ask you to attempt, would you come back stronger as a speaker? Because it's about motivating. The time that you spend here is very important. It's not the age time that about yourself, it's the stage time that you spend. If it takes us 6 years to finish primary school, another 5 years to finish secondary school, for us to be able to speak okay in our second language, it probably takes 100 hours or 200 hours of stage time to bring ourselves to another level. And when we do that evaluations, it's very important that we motivate, we let the speakers know that whatever I'm doing right now is not against you. I'm trying to help you. But when the speaker says that you're lying, I think you're against me, then you need to ask yourself, what am I judging on? And every time I ask myself, it's always on that ABC, what kind of attitude, what kind of background, and what kind of criteria am I judging on? And if I felt that I might have judged wrongly, I would feel bad, because your speaker trusts your evaluations so that they could become better. You have a lot of responsibility. This looks simple. When you talk about here, it's difficult. For example, when you talk about the vocal varieties, when you talk about the body language, how can I note all this down? One of the things that I always do is I draw. I'm not good at drawing, but this is what I'll do. For example, if someone wants to say a certain sentence like, I love my wife. I love, then I'll write my wife. And I thought that he went that I love my wife, felt like he was dying. I would like put this arrow sign, and I knew that when I'm going to evaluate, I'm putting a point that he needs to raise his voice here. When he do certain action that he keeps on doing on hand sign, I will do something, things that I understand. I'll just put a circle and like, the hand was here. Then I know that, okay, this is because he has been using body language a lot. The stage time, I would have like stage and like put here and there, so I know that when I see, I know what it is about. Because you only have limited time to put it down. But these are things that are important to your speaker. But does these three comes together at the same time? No. Because they come in different projects. Unless you're evaluating a CCTN or you're evaluating, let's say, an advanced manual, then it's on another level. That's when you need to take into consideration the background. Right? He has done CC10, he knows the basic, and if he's still making a mistake, you need to let him know or let her know that she or she needs to think about it again. So with that, I would end part of my workshop, my presentation here. I apologize for the projector and the laptop. Before I end this, we actually prepared a test speaker to do a speech. And what we will do is, I hope that every one of us will be able to write down, not a lot, just one thing that the speaker done exceptionally well. It's not the usually that we hear, it must be something that you felt that she really done well, that you're sitting in the shoe. And then probably an area of improvement. How can she do better? So with that, I would like to pass my time and pass the floor to our test speaker. Can you please invite Nina?
The very first time I started a lesson was in October 2009, and it was with the final year students of National Diploma of Plant Engineering. As I recall, that day, as I entered that room, the room felt silent. They made one look at me, and one of them spoke up. "You're small." Good evening, fellow Toastmasters guests, and those who feel my sentiment. Guess what was my reaction when I first heard that from a student who I barely knew? Would I react irrationally? Or would I just act like the teacher I was supposed to be? Surprisingly, what I did that day was smart. Yes, I am small. That makes me a great teacher. Okay, that may sound a bit obnoxious, but the reason why I said that was that is what I'm aiming to be. After all, I survived 4 years teaching these students who are starting to be way taller and taller and taller, and God knows how tall they get be these days. So how did I do it? For one thing, I took advantage of my height. At 4'8", normally the girls of my students are approximately just a tad bit taller than I am. And I like to sit among them. Okay, for example, if I were just to sit here, they would probably think I'm one of them. So this is what I normally do. I enter the class at least 5 minutes early, and I sit in the middle of anywhere. Just take a seat, and I start talking. Of course, eventually they will find out that I'm the teacher, and they will realize that, cool, this teacher is very fun. I love talking to her. I can confide in her. And that is just step one. Step number 2, I sometimes get away with things that has to do with my height. Considering with the luggage that I tend to bring in a class, I have my laptop, I have my handbag, I have my files. It's just way too much. But luckily, I have students who have broad shoulders, big arms, and funny enough, when they see me, "Oh, miss, can I? Oh, sure, with pleasure." And this is, I always take advantage of them. Quite recently, even I did a small test to someone of a similar size. And I realized that it works as well. To someone of similar height, all I just had to do, I'm really a bit tired to carry my bag. And without realizing that person actually took my bag without even realizing it. I wonder who that was. And lastly, with this height, I realized that I'm always energetic, regardless of what I do. If the deputy principal of my college, his staff room is a wee bit very far from my staff, he gives me a call. Hey Cikgu Nina, would you like to drop by in my office? Definitely, I would be right there within 5 minutes. Wow, I can do that fast. And never did I realize that I am that good, that fast, that efficient. And because of this size that I have, I'm proud to be the most efficient teacher that they say I am in school. No wonder I get appointed as the group coordinator, departmental PRO officer. I'm also in charge of an ECA club. And lastly, I'm the HSC officer for my department. Wow, that's a lot. For some reason, that makes me happy. And it also makes me happy to be around my students because they are all very supportive of what I do. And that is because, and that what makes me survive my 4 years of service to the college. Back to you.
Thank you, Nina. If you didn't know, it was very, very fortunate that we have Nina to come up with the test speaker for tonight. Let's go with a quick round. Let's not talk about the areas of improvement right now. Let's talk about a good point. We shall start off from newer members so that the seasoned members have to come up with something that
Different.
has not been talked about. Shall we go by that?
Senior.
Right. So, let's start with Philip. One thing that you like about Nina's speech.